What's going on, guys? Getting a little bit of a sell-off here in the morning. I didn't see much of the news, but people in Discord were saying that it was mainly from coronavirus fears. I think there's a lockdown, or talks of a lockdown in Europe. And then we also have the stimulus talks still going on, which are not really bringing anything to the table as of yet. So the market is pulling back. It sucks because I wanted to short SPY in ES around like 355, and funny enough, it topped out at 354. The level that I was looking to short on SPY actually got hit on ES. I should have used the ES chart as my trigger because I was looking to sell premium if we did tap that point of origin. Sadly, we did not get to that level on SPY. We are pulling back into the wedge on both ES and SPY. You can see that wedge is being retested. This is still slightly bullish, even though we do have a big sell-off, because you are retesting a support structure. So I wouldn't be too worried just yet. You are down a little bit, 1.5% on NASDAQ, pretty big, 1% on ES. So it is going to be an interesting open. Right now, I'm really only holding NEO, so not too worried about this sell-off, because NEO is kind of moving. It's got a mind of its own right now, so not too bad. You do have a little bit of a pullback, mainly due to the markets crashing. I shouldn't say crashing, they're down 1%, but the market's pulling back. You did run after hours though on NEO. It looks like if we were green today on the markets, then NEO would have easily hit like 28, 29. I do have a butterfly trap right above 28, which would have paid off nicely if we did gap up today. We still have a little bit of time to see if we gap up, but most likely not with the markets pulling back. But I think we will be green today, most likely on NEO, because their profit target did get raised to 40. People definitely bought that move yesterday. So you should see a little bit of continuation today. If not, maybe like a micro pullback structure. So you probably will see like a little doji. Probably no higher than the high of yesterday. That would also be a little bullish. So if you had like a little doji somewhere around here, that would be like a micro pullback. And then, what's today? Thursday. So Friday, you would have a continuation to either side. We're going to keep an eye on that. But for now, I think NEO is looking pretty good. I do want to, it's funny, if it stays below 28, it's good for me, because I do have some premium I'm selling about on 28. But if it does go over 28, I'm not worried about it, because we do have a trap set with a butterfly spread. I would actually prefer it to go up today and tomorrow. We'll see if it does. A couple other things on the watch list. As always, big tech. We have Microsoft pulling back. Still no trade on Microsoft. You'd probably want to wait for a gap fill. It looks like you are actually going towards that gap fill on the pre-market. Yeah, so you actually tested that 215, 216 level. So keep an eye on that. We are filling the gap, hitting a support on the pre-market. So watch for this support to be held on Microsoft. It could give you a nice little trade. Same thing for Apple. Looks like we are pulling back into that gap on the pre-market session. If you do fill that gap, kind of around 117, and you start to push higher, that could be a bullish signal. Keep an eye on that. Basically the same thing on every single tech chart. We have Facebook pulling back into the gap. Same exact thing on that. Watch for the support to come in once the gap is filled, and it could look bullish again. You want to see Facebook hold above 271. Below that, it's got a lot of resistance, so be careful on that. Netflix failing our target perfectly. I told you guys 565 was the target. It pulled up a little bit higher, went to like 570, and then we're nuking downward now. So anything below 545, 552, 565, this is all resistance here on Netflix. So you pull back, the daily pivot around 524. You have a 4-hour pivot around 541. Those are both going to be supports. So if you find support on either one of those pivots, could be bullish. If not, you're going to go lower. Amazon pre-market coming back to retest the gap fill. As I told you guys, no trade on the pivot. You want to wait for a retest of the range high. We do see that retest coming in here. So keep an eye on the range high as a support around 32.50. That could be a big level for Amazon. You could see something kind of like this where you consolidate and then you push back up. You could also see something like this where you fail and then you reclaim this range high as resistance, and that would be very bearish. So then you would target 30.68 and 2887. Keep an eye on that. Next up, Tesla. I told you guys that Tesla above 450 could climb pretty rapidly. You stayed above 450, you shot up to 465, pretty easy target. 475 would be the easy target here, and then 500 would be your extended target. It looks like Tesla is going to pull back a little bit, mainly due to the markets, most likely. You do have a little pullback coming in on Tesla, but besides that, it looks pretty good. I still think if it holds above 450, it is pretty bullish. Hey, Darren, he said, can you explain the butterfly trap? So the butterfly trap is just a funny name for the OTM butterfly and out of the market butterfly. So you're basically picking a price that you think the asset will get to, just as you will with all the other options. And then you're creating a range of profit. So I have a butterfly trap set with Neo. So if it goes up, there's a good range there that I can profit in. So I set that. It's a very small position. It's more like a hedge because I'm selling premium on Neo. So if it goes too high, my premium will start to hurt me. So I set a trap above my premium. So if price breaks my premium level, I still have a range where I'll make a very good risk to reward if price does stay in that area. And that trap expires on Friday. So I should see a very nice profit if Neo has another green day today. It should look very good for me. So we'll see. Hey, Jamie, what's going on? Brain, what's going on, man? Bill, you said if FSLY is going down to 80, or it got a higher chance to go, or does it have a higher chance to go to 95? I think you're asking. Let me take, I almost typed in your name. Let me see, FSLY. Didn't they drop like 20% on bad earnings? Yeah, they're down to 86 already. So, not looking too good, man. I don't play earnings, so you would have to wait for some price action to come in. Look at where it topped out. So I gave you guys some targets in Discord on FSLY last week. The targets were 134 and 137. Look at where it topped out. It topped out at 136.50. That target zone was literally perfect. So if you guys took profit on that, you guys did a very, very good job. You sold the top. Now we're pulling back to retest. Actually, no, we're way below this. I forgot we gapped down. Let me delete this. We're going to pull up the 12 hour so we can go to extended hours here. Yeah, I don't know. It's not looking too good, man. We have a 12-hour pivot around $90. So if you reclaim that pivot, you could look pretty good. Another pivot around 96. Right now, I would definitely lean bearish. Massive gap down with a pivot as resistance. Does not look too good. Daily pivot is at 76, so a little bit further down. Let's see, 4 hour. 4 hour, we have one at 79. We've got a couple here, 89. Yeah, so you're below a bunch of pivots here, so I would definitely lean bearish. Until you reclaim these pivots, you get back above like 95, I would not be bullish on this. Looks pretty awful, to be honest. Yeah, that gap's dirty. I think it's an earnings gap, J-Man, I'm pretty sure. So for you guys that are playing like D-Dog and those other companies, they're gonna get nuked too. Yeah, D-Dog got nuked. What's the other one? There's a D-Dog, FSLY, Crowd. Crowd probably got nuked. Yeah, Crowd got nuked. So all those data companies are taking a beating right now. You guys have any tickers you want to look at? Nothing really coming up on the scanners today. I can show you guys the scanners here. These were, I don't know why the call scanner, I have to reset it every day. This was the call scanner from yesterday. We have Neo, Baidu, Goldman Sachs, Bed Bath & Beyond, J Maya, LI, and SLB. No real block trades coming in this morning. Got one on FireEye, that's about it. No high days. Pretty obvious because the market is pulling back. Snow, it didn't Snow just get options? I think Snow just had its first options. Actually a pretty clean range on Snow. I'm actually going to consider that a deviation. We're going to take this. Yeah, so if you consider this a deviation, you have the range low, deviation, range high, retest, retest, retest. So it's just ranging right now. I think if it gains that pivot around 256, you could fly pretty quickly. Yeah, look at that. So the 1 hour pivots are like perfectly creating this range. The 1 hour pivot on the low is a little lower than I would like, but almost identical. You can see it's a little bit lower, a little bit higher. These ranges are nice though. So basically 1 hour pivots are what you're watching. You gain this 1 hour pivot, should fly. You lose this one, it should probably nuke down to 200. Doesn't look too bad. Right now there's no trade, just ranging in the middle. Yeah, I was just telling them earlier, JMA, that SPY is retesting that wedge. SPY is nuking it. So if you look at the pre-market on SPY, SPY is nuking it. If you look at the ES though, ES is perfectly retesting it. So it depends on which one you want to test. Oh yeah, my bad. I forgot to change it back to my charts. Sorry guys, I was going over the range here. I was saying that these pivots right here were basically showing the range perfectly. And if you break that pivot, you should go a lot higher, probably 280. And then if you break this pivot here, you should probably go a lot lower, down to like 200. So watch the 1 hour pivots, 258, 221. This is the range that I drew. I drew this based on the daily. I was saying, or no, sorry, the 4 hour. I was saying that if you consider this a deviation, you would take the low there, the high there, and it gives you a pretty clean range. But right now, you're just stuck in the middle, so there's no trade. That 4 hour pivot also lines up with a 1 hour pivot. So it gives you a nice little breakout area. And then what else was I talking about? I was talking about SPY. You have it looks like you're retesting it from yesterday, but if you go to extended hours, you're actually nuking this. And then if we go to ES, we're actually holding this. So it depends on which chart you want to test, or which chart you want to trust, excuse me. So what's Q's doing? Q's is actually pulling back to retest the gap. It actually did fill that gap. So Q's filled that gap on the pre-market. And then what is NASDAQ doing? NASDAQ is back below that 12-hour and daily pivot. You're coming back to retest the neckline of the inverse head and shoulders. So this is, like I told you guys, this is actually extremely bullish. As long as you hold the necklines as support, this is extremely bullish. Okay, so as long as Q's holds above like 11,550, 11,560, and ES holds above like 3,400, you look fine. IWM. Yeah, IWM is right on the daily pivot, right on the pre-market session. What's the, oh, I have it right here, the Russell. There actually is a pivot on the Russell, too. It's a little bit lower. Kind of an older pivot. You might go a little lower and retest that Russell pivot, or the futures pivot. The pivot on the ETF is being tested right now. So is the OTS trail on the 12-hour. Doesn't look bad. But yeah, same thing on IWM. You're kind of retesting support. So even though the sell-off looks kind of dirty, you got a lot of support down here. So I wouldn't panic just yet. Now, if we blow through the support today, then I would be a little worried. But for today and tomorrow, as long as you stay above these supports, you're looking extremely bullish. If today turns into like a doji on SPY, so like we gap down and then it like kind of dojis right here, I'm going to sell premium. I think that's a really easy play. You just sell premium down here and then it goes up, you make money. I don't see your message, Kay. I have Twitch chat pulled up. Oh, I see it now. Sorry. I see it now. Take a look at Netflix. Yeah, I'll take a look. It was right towards the top of my chat. I missed it. Where is Netflix? Netflix. Here it is. So I called out Netflix earlier. I don't think you were in here, but I was saying that it looks really bearish because you just hit our target at 565, and then you're failing all of these resistance levels. So you have 3 key levels here, which were all of our targets. So we had a little breakout here. This was our initial target. Reclaimed that target as support. So I gave you guys some more targets, and then we topped out pretty much perfectly on our final target. So it looks extremely bearish. Look at how nasty that candle was yesterday. There is nothing bullish about that candle. As long as you stay below 552, it's going to go lower. You have earnings coming up on... Is that earnings accurate? Is that earnings accurate on October 20th? On Netflix? Tesla, I went over Tesla as well. I think as long as it stays above 450, it's okay. Right now, it's below 450. So it's pretty bearish. Stays below 450, it's going to go back down to 415. That is accurate. Yeah, so watch out for earnings on Netflix. That's going to be a big play. Twitter. I do not like trading Twitter here because they're getting very... they're getting a lot of bad press. Well, if you take it, I would be bearish. Because they're getting a lot of bad press with the political stuff, where they keep banning a lot of stuff that is... basically, if it looks bad for Biden, they're banning it, and they're trying to hurt Trump in basically every way they can, and it's putting them in a position that the liberties that the government is allowing them to have, they're pushing the boundaries. They're becoming more... It's kind of hard to go over if you guys don't understand what I'm talking about. But what they're doing makes them turn more into the publisher side. So if they become more like a publisher, there's a bunch of these other laws that they have to follow instead of a platform that they currently are, right? So it's getting a little scary. So if they start getting slapped around fines, one of the senators actually posted yesterday that he wanted to have Twitter's top executives come testify in in a committee meeting that he heads for basically all this political shit that they're doing. So it's not looking too good. If they get slapped around with fines, it's going to be bad for Twitter. So be careful. They're treading water right now, is what I'm saying. They're playing with fire. Technicals don't look too bad. You are breaking a rising wedge, pulling back to a pivot. So your target for the rising wedge would almost be hit here. The target for the rising wedge would be around 44.70. If you do start to bounce off that, you could go for like a wedge retest. So pop back up and then start to fail again. So you can either scalp this move or look for a short here. But either way, it's going to be pushed around by fundamentals moving into the election. So I'd be careful. Let me find those tweets that I was looking at, because these guys said it perfectly, and I kind of just butchered that. Let me see. Yeah, so it was a senator in Missouri. He heads a, let me see. He has a subcommittee on, I think it's like tech or something. And he said that, Jack, this is nearly not good enough. In fact, it's a joke. It's downright insulting. I will ask you and Facebook to give an explanation under oath to the Senate subcommittee I chair. These are potential violations of election law, and that's a crime. So basically, what Twitter is doing is being seen as violations of election law. It's also being seen as putting them more in the realm of being a publisher, which puts them under certain regulations. It's not good. What time is it? We got about 4 minutes left. Anything you guys want to take a look at before we hop off the morning stream? Long story short, if you guys are just coming in, everything is pulling back to retest support. So if we do have a green day today or tomorrow, or like a doji day, I still see that as bullish. I think most charts are pulling back to support. They don't look too bearish. I think people are panicking a little too early. Obviously, we are pulling back pretty hard from the highs. That's more than expected. 3% pullback, that's not a big deal. I think the neckline on Qs and ES, as long as those hold, this could be a very big buying opportunity. So I wouldn't be panic selling anytime soon. But I also wouldn't be panic buying either. I wouldn't be buying the dip too heavily just yet. You want to wait for confirmation. You definitely have support, but you want to at least see the support being tested. So don't jump in too early. We could go down another 40 points on ES before we even start to bounce, which would be another like almost 1%. So we still have room to fall. So don't think I'm telling you guys to just hop in the dip immediately. You still could fall Qs could fall 2% before you start finding support. But right now we are bouncing. You do have a little bit of a bounce coming in on pre-market ES. Let me see if I can find pre-market SPY. Let's see. Yeah, so right now you got a little bit of support coming in. We'll see how the morning session holds up. Yeah, if you buy the dip, you want to scale into it exactly. Yeah, you don't want to jump in all of your weight immediately. Like I said, you got about 1% left on ES, about 2% left on Qs that you could still fall, so just be ready for that. Just understand that there is a bearish scenario here. And with that said, it doesn't have to bounce on the neckline. It is a very strong support, but it doesn't have to bounce there. I think one of the big scenarios that would push it back below the neckline is if Pelosi came out and just downright said she's not accepting any stimulus, which she's basically been doing. That's why we keep getting these nasty swings. We keep getting Trump saying that he's going to pass stimulus. The market goes up because they want stimulus. And then Pelosi comes out and says she's not going to pass it. It goes back down, rinse and repeat. We've been doing this for weeks. So the market went up because Trump said he was ready to pass. Pelosi said she's not going to pass. It started going down. That's basically the only thing driving the market right now is the stimulus. So keep an eye on Twitter. Keep an eye on the news accounts on Twitter. Trump's account is a big one. You want to keep an eye on that stimulus. If it gets passed or people think it's going to get passed, this support will hold. If Pelosi keeps saying she's not going to pass it until the election's over, we're probably going to break through this support. So keep an eye on that. But all right, guys, with that said, we're going to close down the stream. I'll see you guys in Discord for the live trading session. And I'll be back on stream at 3 p.m. Eastern. You guys have a good one. Appreciate you guys being here. If you guys are new to the stream, I stream 5 days a week, 2 times a day, 9 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Eastern. So subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Follow me on Twitch. If you guys miss some of this stream, it takes a while to upload to YouTube. I have no control over that. But if you go to my Twitch account, it will be available on Twitch immediately. So check out the Twitch, Deja Brew Trades. The morning stream should be available immediately. But all right, guys, I'll see you guys later this afternoon or in Discord. You guys have a good one.